Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today I want to talk about something very important. And this topic ties in with what we've been talking about in regards to societal narcissism. And for those of you that are new to this channel, I want to say thank you for stopping by and subscribing if you like this content. But I want to let you know what societal narcissism is, if you're not already aware. You see, let's say, for an example, you grew up in a home with a narcissist parent or parents. And during your time growing up, your narcissist parent or parents did certain covered underhanded things with the attempt to ruin your entire family. You, your siblings, everyone. And one of those tactics was to divide you from your brother and or sister, to get them to not like you, and to be against you in every way. And if possible to get you to feel the same way about them as well. And in the process of doing so, they used gaslighting, projecting, circular word salad conversations and pointless debates or arguments. And they do so with hiding their hand that pulls the strings of such dysfunctions. So they can try to slip out the back door blameless and leaving their innocent sons and daughters in ruin and destruction. Holding the blame as a so-called bad son or bad daughter. And after we escaped such an evil and toxic situation, and we started to do the self-work, and we started to go through the healing, and going through the self-betterment process, we started to notice patterns that repeated themselves over and over and over during our growing up years. And then if we dated or married a narcissist, usually our wake-up call to start searching out what this problem was and is all about, was because we noticed these same patterns in this toxic person we were dating or married to. Many of us know that narcissists can and do say some very unique things. Their lack of empathy and ways of being has these narcissists processing their thoughts and expressing them in a very unique way that leaves a pattern. A very unique pattern. Well, when we see or hear this pattern again in the person we are dating or married to, we are like, what the? And a chill goes down our spine. We've seen this before. That sounds just like my mother or just like my brother. So forth and so on. And then the research begins. Well, after we were able to do this research and figure out what this horrible evil behavior and treatment was and is all about, we noticed something else. That this same unique treatment and patterns of evil wasn't just done to us, but it was done to millions upon millions of others around the world. No matter the language or country, the patterns seem to be the same. Yes, little differences and twists here and there, but the patterns in a very eerie way for the most part seem to be the same. But then we notice something else. We notice how society is operating, from the top to the bottom. And we see the same patterns. We see how society is being divided, and we are seeing the same things that happened in our homes of origin that was filled with narcissism. We are seeing these exact same patterns being introduced and played out in society from city to city, and from country to country. Societal narcissism is the same patterns of narcissism that you were subjected to in your home. The same manipulation that you were subjected to in your home, being played out on a bigger scale in and throughout society. And what's one of the narcissist's biggest and most favorite tools that they use to get what they want? Division. Division. And why is division such a powerful tool for the narcissist? Because it makes it so the person that they are dividing will likely not grow into fulfilling their goals and life plans. And the narcissist parent or parent can keep on doing what it is they are doing. Getting narcissistic supply from others. And most importantly, while they are doing such evil, the ones they are dividing, they are the ones that get blamed for all of the chaos that is going on in the home. Well, take a look at society. Society is extremely divided. And the big start of this division in society came from the wrecking and destroying of the human family. So much so, many are extremely afraid to enter into such agreements. Not because they are afraid of commitment. That is a lie society tells, much like how a narcissist parent will lie about the behavior of their scapegoat children. But people in society are afraid of such agreements because of the now real dangers that come with such agreements. Now wait a minute. The family came from God. It has protection, love, and support built into such a structure, right? Well, it did. But something happened. Narcissism and division. Now, in my last video, I mentioned we were going to talk about men and women issues in this video. And I also said that when addressing men issues in these instances, it doesn't mean that men don't do horrible and evil things too. Because we know that men and women can and do some horrible evil things in society. But we have to speak about certain things about what is happening to men and boys in society. If we want to get to the ugly truth regarding the division in society that is happening to both men and women, and how society is in a major way playing and destroying women as well. You see, the job of the narcissist parent, for example, is to make the golden child son or daughter to think and believe that the narcissist parent is on their side. And in doing so, they are able to get the golden child to go against their scapegoat brother or sister in every way imaginable. But here's the thing. The narcissist parent isn't doing all of this because they really love their golden child son or daughter. Because almost like clockwork, somewhere along the line, the narcissist parent turns on their gold child son or daughter. And they end up ruining their life as well. And in most cases, they ruin the golden child worse. Because they are now trained to not self-reflect and to see their own flaws. And they can no longer have meaningful relationships with others in society. Whereas the scapegoat usually learns and grows into a better person. Well, let's look at the family unit today. Let's look at the dating world today. Men are literally being told that they shouldn't even think about entering the dating world unless they make over $100,000 a year. And they aren't just being told this by a few online gurus. Society and its outcomes are telling men all over this new society standard. You see. Yes. You have both men and women. Women and men divorcing each other for real reasons. Yes. For things like narcissistic abuse. However, one of the most common reasons for divorce and family breakdown is, even if the man is a good man to his wife. We are taking narcissism and narcissistic abuse out of the scenario for just a moment. You have a man that meets a woman. And by all accounts, she's good to him. And he's good to her. But something happens. Maybe this man loses his job. And has to take a job paying a bit less. Because at the time it's all he can find. Again. In this scenario we aren't talking about someone that's a narcissist. We are talking about two normal average people. The guy loses his job. He's not being lazy at all. He gets out there and does literally the best job that he can. And he has to take a pay cut. Maybe the industry he was involved in went away. And he has to start over in a completely different field. These types of problems are commonplace in today's society. 1 minute you are up. The next minute you are trying to figure out what the heck just happened to you. And what society says is to men that if your position in life slips just one little bit, you not only deserve to lose your family and to have your wife end up in the arms of another man, But you should expect it? That you should expect it? Even those that are well-meaning say, well, come on, man. This is just how it is. And this is how things have always been. And to that I say, no. Yes. Have there been in times past where women walked out on a man that was struggling for whatever reason? Yes. But the difference is society didn't praise such behavior. Actually, society shamed such behavior. If a woman picked up and walked away from her home, the chance that those in her community would see her in a favorable light would be slim to none. But now, if a man slips just one little bit in his financial earnings, and she falls into the arms of another man, society says, well, hey, you should understand, bro, and get your money up for next time. So what changed between in years past when doing such a thing was seen as evil and a terrible thing? But today it's seen as normal and even encouraged. Well, groups and people showing up in society acting like they have the best interest of the people. But when you look at the simple fact is their actions rarely if ever matched their words. Their words speak of bettering a certain situation, but their actions show complete and utter division. So much so, decent people are afraid to get married, because they know the message of division in society is so strong, that even if they meet someone decent, that person might get influenced by others around them, and before you know it, what started out as a happy marriage is now ending in their financial ruin and in divorce court. And this not only impacts men, but it impacts women as well. Because let's say you have two average people. They fall in love. Everything is great. Maybe let's say the woman started advancing in her career a lot faster than her husband. And as we know from a lot of information out there, that one of the leading causes of divorce is the moment a woman starts making more than their husband. By society standards, the woman is told the man they are with is a loser. Thus she loses interest in the man that she is married to and she has children with. And she ends up in the arms of another man. And she ends up getting a divorce from the man that actually really loves her. Now think about this very carefully. If let's say it is known that this woman is married to the other man she ends up with, let's say a man she met at the company she is working for, what type of man will willingly take another man's wife? Quite possibly a man that is being weak at the time. But it could be a man that could care less. And that is a narcissist or psychopath. So this woman is trading in a man that has good moral character. He's not lazy. He's hard-working. She's trading this man in for a narcissist or psychopath. Simply because she fell out of love with her good husband because his income level changed. Here's the problem. Many of the people online talking about this say, well, women seek security and so forth and so on. That's why this happens. But oftentimes when this problem happens, security is already met. She's making good money. And possibly her husband is doing okay as well. He's just not doing as well as his wife is. The main problem isn't security. The main problem is society. And someone at the top pushes down these so-called standards for everyone to follow. Today, the family unit is important. Even if there are hard times. If you don't stick it out with your husband or life, society sees you as a horrible person. But then years later, it magically turns into, if you as a woman advance in your career from $50,000 a year to $85,000, or maybe even $100,000 a year, and your husband is still stuck at 50, or maybe he really is trying to get something going and he ends up at $60,000 or $70,000 a year, society says, he's a loser. He's not good. And it's within your right to dump him for someone else. And not only the divorce rates, but the reasons for most divorces bear this out. Even if you have two good people together, If all of a sudden the woman starts to advance, the chances she will stick with this man is slim. But again, let's look at the message society pushes. And then we might understand why this is. And sadly a great many of these women that do make such choices, they years later usually regret these choices. And the reason why is they traded in a really good man for someone that possibly might be making more money. But they also might be a cheater and a liar and an overall narcissist. I mentioned before, I watched a video of these two women being interviewed. And they said they can't date a 9-to-5 man. That they have to date someone that robs and scams for their money. Because they can make that fast big money and take them to fancy places, to eat and to travel. But what kind of life would a woman lead by dating or even marrying such an evil man? That's right, a terrible life. But society through its music and entertainment and other ways of reaching into the minds of others is pumping this evil and demonic message. Here's an example. A couple of days after watching the interview with the two women, I watched a news story many other content creators have been talking about this week. And it was of a woman, I believe a mother of two. She led, I believe, 4 men to rob another man. Quite possibly at this other man's home. Like a home invasion type robbery. And the other man defended himself. The woman lost her life. And the other men she led to the robbery scene ran off, leaving her there. And when you see pictures of this woman, she was a pretty lady. But again, meeting a nice guy, and even a handsome guy that might work at Home Depot would have likely been below her standards. Someone that actually cared about her and that was of good character would have nothing to do with anything. It's all, can you take me to this fancy place to eat? And to live the life of a professional athlete and or entertainer. The problem is, there are many sites out there where young ladies meet up with men that provide money for these women's time, let's just say. And it's not just a few women doing this. It's becoming commonplace. And if they are making several thousands a week to spend with random men that don't care about them, the decent man with a regular job is invisible. And in order to keep up their fancy dinners and such a lifestyle, some of these women and men turn to robbing people and committing all kinds of terrible crimes. The thing is, most men can't compete. And no matter how hard they try to make more and more money, it will never be enough. And they will likely be shy of their mark. What's the point of all of this? Well, just like Satan in the Garden of Eden. And just like we are seeing today, there is great division between man and woman. And sadly right now Satan is whispering in the ears of many women. And sadly many men are bending to Satan's evil will as well. In order to stay afloat and to go along with the new narrative and new agenda. Hey, I think if you can make more money in a normal healthy way, go for it. But if you try hard and you don't hit your goals, you are in no way a loser. What you are is a hard-working person. Now not everyone is going to see that. But how society is set up has a lot to do with things as well. Here's what I ask for the women in society. Is getting these things and stuff worth it all? To trade in a man that loves you, that cares for you, that is hard-working. But he can't afford to take you to the nicest nightclubs and buy $1,000 shoes. For someone that can buy all of these things, but cares nothing about you, that is not only using you, but is likely using a dozen other women. Is it worth to have this temporary man for a few months or a few years of getting things and stuff? But trading in a man that will love you for a lifetime. I recently came across what appeared to be a clip from either a series or a movie. And in this clip, there was a good-looking man going through this extremely expensive high-end nightclub, looking for what appeared to be his wife or girlfriend. And he found her drunk, laying on a big sofa with a bunch of other ladies with a guy in the center. A guy that acted like he could care less about any of the women there. The man looking for his wife or girlfriend. grabbed her by the hand and led her out of the club, saying let's go home. And the woman said basically, she wasn't going home with him, because he was boring. Now this guy didn't seem boring at all. And he was actually better looking than the man that was in the nightclub. But something in her became addicted to the riding on expensive boats and planes, and drinking expensive booze and wearing clothes the average person can't afford. And though that situation she was in was likely fleeting and temporary, she was willing to trade in a good man that was handsome, hard-working, and that loved her, for some millionaire big shot that didn't care about her, let alone any of the other women he was surrounded by. And sadly this is the dating model that is being pushed to young women and young men. Men are told, hey, if you don't want to end up like the man in this scenario, get your money up. So basically saying, you are a loser and should expect to get your woman taken from you if you aren't of a certain status. And the women are told to not look for character and decency. However, they are told to look for how much does a man have and how much is he willing to spend. That's it. And what that is doing is metaphorically digging out the soul of these women so they are unable to feel anymore. So even if another good man came along, they won't respond to them in a positive way, because all they know is fast boats and planes and trips to Dubai. Going to the park for a walk is considered low budget and something a loser would do. We need to bring things back to picking people based on their character. If a man has bad character and they sit around on the sofa all day playing video games, and they don't hold a job, and they expect you as the woman to go out there and foot the bill for everything, this is a man to avoid. But if the man is hard-working and doing their best, we have to face facts. He may never make $1 million a year. And he might never make $100,000 a year. Here's something to keep in mind. I think one of the main reasons why this is so easy for those that puppet society to pull off is because they know peer pressure is real and strong. However, if we learn anything from some of the self-motivational coaches, and that is to get away from negative people. And when you are creating your family, sometimes you have to distance yourself from others. If people could really do that, peer pressure wouldn't be as strong. And the message pushed down by those that puppet society wouldn't have the strong affect that it does. Look, ladies, if your man makes $50,000 a year, and you make 70, that's a fact that's no one's business but you and your husband's. And if you are meeting up with your girlfriends for coffee and you are talking about life and other things, and someone brings up your husband that actually loves you, someone brings him up in a negative way, especially when it comes to his finances, shut them down right there and right then. Let them know, hey, I understand society pushes a certain narrative about relationships, but you do not want to hear another bad word about your husband unless your husband actually does something bad. Earning a little bit less but being hard-working last you checked wasn't a crime. So please do not treat my husband as less than when he at the moment treats me with love and kindness. If he stops treating me well, then you have room to talk. But if he's working hard and I today am making more than him, that's not a crime and it's not a problem. So please stop trying to make it one. And I think if more women did this, these narcissists and narcissists lights wouldn't be able to get into your home and sow the division that society tells them to sow. Look, home invasions are now sadly and sickly a normal thing. Carjackings are a normal thing. And it's all done to keep up with these fast-paced lifestyles. Women going on these sites so they can make large sums of money doing terrible things for said money. This isn't just a few ladies here and there doing this. It's normal and commonplace now. Why? So they can keep up with society's standards. Well, who is making these standards? Who? Think back to your toxic home of origin. Who was setting the standards and rules for you and your siblings to follow? Who created the family dynamics? That's right. your narcissist parent or parents. And when you look back on it now, you think how sick and evil of an environment the entire thing was. Well, let's go back to society. Who's setting society standards? Could it be narcissists that want to create and sow division just like your parents did in your home of origin? Well, I think that being the case is extremely high. And it's the sad fact that people are going along with these evil things. That allows the evil to grow and grow and grow. I've said it before. And I will say it again. I think both men and women need to sit down and talk about expectations and boundaries when you are starting a long-term serious relationship. And part of that is admitting to how society works. If the person you are with can't admit certain truths, like many of the truths we just talked about, there's a high chance your relationship will fail. But if they can admit these truths, then you need to go to the next step and come up with healthy game plans to stick together and not let others divide you. We truly live in a crab in a bucket society. And even though this friend or that friend seems to really care about you, you have to understand, their jealousy might make them do something out of character. You might have been friends with this person your entire life. And they too might covertly try to sow division between you and your husband or you and your wife. And you need to be prepared for that. Wow, dear. I went out with so and so for coffee. And she was really nice. But she started to say certain things we talked about to watch out for when we talked about boundaries when we were starting out our relationship. She invited me to go to a bar next Friday. I told her I don't go to places like that without you. But she kept trying to get me to go. It was really creepy. This is a perfect scenario and how it should work in real life. You've talked about things. And thus you are prepared when it happens in real life. Because you've come up with a game plan. But you might be thinking, why would so and so be jealous of me? They seem to have a great life. The key word here is seem. Here's the thing. Your friend might have gotten swept away by such lies. They might have cheated on their husbands and they might have a lot of numbness now within themselves. And they might even be angry at themselves for ruining the innocence they had once. Because they believed the lie it would be a good time. And because they are so angry at themselves for believing that lie. And they see you still have that innocence they once had. They are so jealous that you still have that part of you working and functioning. And they do not. And in their thinking, if they can't have it, you can't have it. So they will show up pretending to be your friend. In order to lie and get you to give up your entire family. When looking at your friends, don't look at how things appear for them. They could have all kinds of problems you aren't aware of. And if your light is shining bright, that's all it will take to get them to become jealous of you. And they will work covertly and secretively to try to get you to give up your life and your decency. You see, if you want to have a successful relationship, you have to use discernment. You have to use discernment. Not every person that comes into your life means well for you. And you have to be careful to not throw away those that do mean well for you. Simply because they don't make $1 million. Or they don't own a fancy business. Women and men, pray for a good spouse all of the time. Well, sometimes the devil sends a narcissist our way. But sometimes God sends us the person we need. Not the person we want, but the person we need. But Satan convinces us this precious gift is nothing but junk, when it was literally a gift from God. Something to think about. Well, that's all I have for now. I hope you found this content useful. And I would like to know your thoughts. Please leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And to those donating on Patreon, thank you, thank you. Thank you. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.